Okay, relatives, I want to apologize about the way the phone is set up. I'm sorry about that. I'm in a different car, so I'm doing the best that I can. My name is Michael from the Ihangtuan people, the ancient people. I want to welcome you to my channel. I want to refer to you, everybody, as a relative. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to refer you to as a relative. I'm going to do a reading out of the Elders Meditation book, and the reading for today, which I believe is July 15th. I'm not even sure if it's July 15th, I'll be honest with you. But you know, the Gregorian calendar is just a calendar on the wall. These are the type of teachings that apply to any day, at any time. So I'll go ahead and read that, and then I'll just share. I'll do my best to bring like a native perspective, an indigenous Native American spirituality. Okay, we are back on. We just had a moment there where we lost reception. Okay, so here we go. Like I said, I'm going to do my best to give an indigenous Native American. All right, I think that's going to be our last and final interruption due to the service here out in the middle of South Dakota. And so again, if you didn't hear me before, I hope I'm not repeating myself, and thus you're deciding to turn the station. I'm going to give my best to give a perspective from Native American spirituality. Again, I'm from the Ihangtuan people, the Yankton people here in South Dakota. And I'm just going to read. And now again, I always say I don't know what the reading says. I'm not even sure if I should be doing a reading today, just because it's been one of those busy days right from the get-go. And I'm just real excited and anxious to get to my hometown so I can be around family. All right, so here's today's reading. We are nothing compared to his problems, and we feel it and know it. Inside every man and woman is a place of knowing. Almost want to check the date. In this place is the knowing that there is a great one, the great mystery, the Holy One, the Great Spirit. We can deny this all we want, but we know what we know. This place of knowing is at the very center of our being. It is gratifying to know that God cannot leave us. It is said we are spiritual beings trying to be human. With this power in our lives, we can accomplish much. We can do many good things for our people. And then there's a prayer that says, "Oh Great Spirit, I know of your power. I love the days when I..." Okay, so did you hear that? Oh my gosh, let me repeat that prayer, relatives, because it was a good one. Oh Great Spirit, I know of your power. I love the days when I feel your presence. Let today be one of those days. Let me walk today in your beauty. All right, good. You know, in our Lakota and Dakota way, even our creation, from the beginning of creation, we know that those that created Earth and began that process and started the universe, they had a good side and they had a bad side. Okay, sorry to disappoint a lot of people, but I'm using that as an example that they say that everything has a good side and a bad side. Of course, those are English words, and we've been conditioned to avoid the bad and look for the good. Myself, I've been reconditioned to love the darkest places within. And so when we're able to do that, we know that just like the reading says, is that in each and every one of us is the Great Spirit, is a piece of everything, is that which is holy, and we know it. It says we know it. So that's a pretty big statement, especially when we're running around and we're caught up in the stress. This life is just has just evolved into a place where there's a lot of stress, man. There's a lot of stress. So if you're feeling it, man, I certainly am too. And I'll tell you what, these type of readings are really good for the soul. They're really good for the spirit, because they really do. And I believe with all my heart that we are spirits trying to be human, that we are spirits first, and we are brought here right now to have a human experience, and we're learning to do that. And there can be some push and pull, and there can be some confusion, and certainly we can get off track because of the environment that man has created. And one would probably agree that we are off balance, we are off center, but because we have that which is holy, that which is spirit inside each and every single one of us, we are a part of the balance in life. We are a part of the solution to the imbalance within ourselves, within our tioshpe, our family, within our relationships, within the balance of all of creation. That we are a part of that, because if they say that the Great Spirit is inside of us, and then we think about how powerful the Great Spirit is, and if you think about how powerful love is, if you think about how powerful hate is, if you think about how powerful relationships are, then I think that might even begin to touch sort of, that is how that power is distributed through the human experience. And obviously, when we're off balance and things have happened, and we were taught and we were given new information, we can become the type of person that needs a lot of help. It becomes a very uncentered, very resentful, very hurt type of person. And we can have a tendency, obviously we all know this, to take that out on other people, and then also very subconsciously sort of lose connection with that place within us that is holy, that is of spirit, that is the spirit that came here to have a human experience. And so myself, I know all about that. I guilty as charged. And I'm really grateful that today these type of teachings are here, and more people, they're certainly a part of my life. I need them to be a part of my life, because for a long time I really became uncentered. I really strayed away from the middle, or from that part of which is me, that is of spirit, and I just became afraid of everything. And that fear manifested itself into a lot of inappropriate behavior, a lot of lawlessness, if that's what you want to call it. I was an outlaw, and stuff like that. But I tell you what, on the outside, was finally catching up with what was going on the inside. I had always felt distant from any type of these teachings, and so there was a great consequence for that, and I was experiencing that on a regular basis. But at the same time, while I was running around, stealing, fighting, drinking, doing drugs, running from the cops, going to jail, getting in just very unhealthy relationships, and cussing people out, and doing God knows what, that during those quiet times, within all that chaos, I knew that there was something more. I did. I just knew it. It was something that I knew as a child. And in our Lakota way, we know that is that information that comes to you from the spirit world as you enter into this human condition. And so that stays with you throughout your life. And in my personal experience, and part of my journey was I got myself into a lot of trouble. So I really understand the very real consequences if we don't receive these type of teachings on a regular basis, on a day-by-day basis, and throughout your day. But also, not only that, if we've been given information that is back in the day, and I know you've heard me speak before, if we've been misinformed about ourselves. And of course, you've heard me say this before, but this is the truth. And you know what? You can believe it or not. That's up to you. My relatives, I'm going to tell you that when I was young, the narrative was a very damaging narrative. It was a very damaging to my self-esteem and to who I was as a person. And so it felt very painful to be who I was. It felt like it was unfair to be who I was. And I think these type of teachings, if I would have had them and had some guidance, and I didn't, it's not Mom's fault, it's not my dad's fault, may he rest in peace, it's not my stepfather's fault. Because they had that experience too. So they were doing their best to provide, but we didn't receive those type of spiritual teachings. And the religious teachings, and within my lifetime, confused me. And they didn't say that there's spirit in you, at least I don't remember. But by that time, I had began to rebel against life and started to really show patterns of sort of self-destructive behavior even as a child. So it can be very damaging, and the thing about it is many of our relatives go throughout their lives without ever receiving the healing to identify the misinformation that we've been given. So we know this is wrong, we were taught wrong, and so that information was wrong, and that led to me misbelieving this information that I've been convinced about myself. And to identify and have this opportunity to have this experience about looking at my life in that lens. I've been misinformed, and I need new information. The information that I received prior to this was wrong information. And so what I'm going to do is for me, this is just what I recommend to people, is I recommend that they look back and they assess and they get real honest. That type of honesty, there's a type of honesty that makes you not want to do things because it changes, but it's life-changing. It'll shatter perspectives. But that's that purification process that needs to happen to sort of throw off or to break through the walls of this information. That information can really start to give you a perspective on life. And many times it's very healthy to, okay, here we go. It's very healthy to evaluate that, and then also get real honest and say, well, I was given misinformation, and what were the consequences of that misinformation, and who were the type of people that were informing me about life, about myself, about their perspective, because their perspective wasn't mine, but since I was a youngster, hey, I thought it was mine. And so then it's also a good thing to then evaluate the damage those type of misinformations do to people. And there's a lot of science, there's a lot of evidence out there that shows that when you misinform somebody, or you receive misinformation, that really does influence you and determines what kind of decisions you're going to make. But not only that, you're going to decide what type of person that you are. And for myself, that information, it was so wrong, it became very detrimental to contributing to a very low self-esteem. And so myself, I had to go through, it's a great sacred process. And we see the evidence all around that some people don't get to that point where they have that opportunity to do that type of spiritual work of oneself. And so we see both, we feel the consequences of that with our personal lives, but also with the people that we love, our Tioshbais, our family members, our communities. And that's why this type of information that comes from these books can change a person. But not only change a person, they can change a family. They can change a community. They can change a nation. And so, and it can bring balance. It can bring everything back into the center, because we do have to have conflict. That's just a part of life. That's the natural world. We do have to have that. We do have to have feelings. We do have to have emotions. That is a part of it. And we have to have values and principles, and that's obviously a part of it as well. And so these teachings now that I've assessed and evaluated the misinformation, now I can go back to the information that I was given when I first came here. Now I'm getting to the core, I'm getting to the center, I'm getting to the circle of life. I'm now starting to see the world through the lens of spirit. Spirit allowed me and is going to help me make this transition, this evolving from this sacred process. And so that is the natural process. That is the natural law, is to reach within each other that which is spirit within all of us, but also spirit all around us. We're supposed to be working together. We're supposed to be working as Tioshbai, a family with all of creation. And when that begins to happen, then you realize that everybody's helping each other. That God, the Great Spirit, however you want to call it, is very much. Oh, I'm sorry. So all of creation and that spirit is within us, and it's all around. There isn't a place where it's not. And this is this is more a reality than their persuasion. Okay. So we've been starved for this type of spiritual information. And that is an indicator. It shows itself, that hunger shows itself because we're out running around. We're eating just these poisonous foods on a regular basis. We're drinking the Coca-Cola on a regular basis. Now, relatives, don't get me wrong. I love this stuff. Okay, I love a good cherry Coke. I love a good root beer. I love a good chili dog. But I also know that when I'm eating that chili dog, that is bad for me. I also know when I'm receiving the gifts from the standing people, the tree people, like an apple, or from underground like a radish, that those are gifts from our relatives from these other nations. And that in itself is a part of the life cycle, is that they gift these to us. And so we have really gotten out of whack spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And if I'm out of whack spiritually, guess what? It's going to affect my emotions. If I'm out of whack emotionally, and guess what? It's going to affect me physically. The evidence has shown that it's real. And so myself, today, I'm going to be a spiritual being first. First and foremost, I'm going to be a spiritual being, because that is who we really are. That is the truth. And so what does that mean? That means that the human condition and the human problems that we've created, and they're very, very real. We experience these conditions all the time. We experience these human consequences all the time. But I'm not going to look for a human solution to those human problems. I'm going to look for a spiritual solution to those human problems, because after all, we are spirits here. We're spirits. We're spirits. Some people say the bodies carry our spirits. Myself, I believe the spirits carry our body. I don't think your body is capable of carrying your spirit. I think it just makes sense for your spirit to carry your body, because when you think from the spirit, you become in balance with all of creation. And that's when you become inspired. That's when you want, that's when you do want to. That's the crucial ingredient to make the transition from, you can make a decision. Do I want to live as a human being here, understanding that, and then saying, okay, I'm a human being and I'm also a spirit. Or you can also decide to say, I'm a spiritual being and I'm having a human experience. And in other words, I'm mostly spirit and I'm a little bit human. Or you can say I'm a little bit human, or I'm a mostly human and I'm a little bit spirit. Now, if you think about that, you really got to think about what you really want. What do you want in your life? Number one, we want to be happy, but you can't be happy all the time. What kind of solutions do you want to your problems? Do you want human solutions, or do you want spiritual solutions? Myself, you kind of got to have both, but for the most part, I lean spiritual, because I went for way too long with relying on human beings. And I trust people, don't get me wrong. I trust people. I love people. I love to visit. I love to, oh man, I love talking circles. But at the same time, right now, we are experiencing so many consequences because the human condition has absolutely taken over. And so it's been prophesied that this would happen. This has been predicted by the grandmas and grandpas. that are in the spiritual world, and when they were here, they experienced it, and then when they went to the spirit world, they would speak through medicine men and other people and send children back over here with that wisdom already, that with those prophecies to say, and in other words, in order to understand at a higher level, at a deeper level, to see further, to hear further, to listen, to hear voices from all of creation, it had to be a spiritual solution. And a long time ago, there's good evidence to this, and I'm going to tell you this. A long time ago, the same thing happened. And you talk to your Lakota and Dakota elders, they're going to tell you about this. And the evidence is all around. The same thing happened. That man got carried away. Man started thinking he was above everything. The same thing happened. And finally, Mother Earth said, I'm going to shake my back. In other words, I'm going to create a great earthquake. I'm going to shake everything up. We need purification. The animals were suffering. The waters were suffering. The land was suffering. The environment, the air was suffering. We've been through this before. And finally, they said, we're going to make a decision. We need to purify the earth. We need to start all over. But we need to purify everything. And so Grandmother Earth sent out her voice, and everybody heard it. The animals heard it because they were still living according to natural law. But you know what? Who didn't hear it? Man. Because man was too busy thinking he was so smart, too busy on his gadgets, too busy disrespecting, putting himself above the standing people, putting himself above everybody as if he knew all, and he was the beginning and end all of life. But there were some men and women that did hear Grandmother Earth when she was saying, come inside. Come inside, I'm going to shake my back. Come inside. And those were the human beings that hadn't lost their ability to be their spiritual beings too. They were the spiritual beings here that were living in human condition, but they continued to live as spiritual beings. They were the ones that heard Mother Earth crying out and saying, come inside, I'm going to shake my back. And they say that's going to happen again, and it's coming up. It's predicted that it's going to happen soon, because we've been conditioned to be scared of everything, scared of each other, scared of change. Now, fear is a good thing, but we have been conditioned to believe that we are so smart, we got it all figured out, and anything outside of that we don't understand is spiritual understandings, is spiritual teachings. They're supposed to be balanced, right? And so now most human beings are afraid of spirit and don't believe. And so when Grandmother Earth says come back in, the ones who stayed true to their spirit, and these are the ones that are poor and on the streets. These are the ones that were drug addicts at one time. These are the ones that were prostitutes at one time. Because what happens is, these are the victims of the material world. And because of that struggle, they've been gifted insight. They've been gifted insight. The ones that hoard all the money, that hoard all the power, that go, I gotta have this, I gotta have that, I have to have power, I have to control. You know that they are lacking in spirit. So they're not going to hear that. They lack the compassion. And I mean, they might give money, but compared to how much they have, that's just like me having $10 and giving 1 penny. So that goes against natural law, and they are the ones that are going to suffer the most. And so it's happened before, and even if you have money and you've been controlled by the material world, there is still a lot of time. There is still time for you. But it's hard work. You got to go inside. You got to do that work. And I've seen people change from the worst conditions, and you can tell when somebody's in their spirit. You can tell. And it doesn't matter. We've become so judgmental that we think that somebody who has a nice car must be in spirit. No. You can be on the streets living in spirit. You could be a prostitute living in spirit. You could be in jail and discovered your spirit. You can be in a mansion in the White House and completely be starved and be a horrendous example of what it is to be both a human being and a spiritual being. And so there, like they said, there's a place within inside of us that connects us, that interconnectedness with everything around us. And what we've been taught is that we aren't smart enough. We are the wrong color. We don't have enough money. We have been abused. And that's very difficult to get past. It's very difficult to cope in life with. It really does. But that is the victimization of dehumanizing one another. And so a lot of us have been burdened to have been responsible to carry the burden of other people. And that's why when you come out of that, that's why the relatives that live their lives that way go to the spirit world and are welcomed, because they carried the burden of a sick society. And the ones that think that they can buy themselves into their heaven, they are the ones that are going to suffer, because they were the ones that strayed away from the teachings, but also victimized many people along the way. They ignored it. They ignored all the signs. They made people suffer. And so starting over is a wonderful, beautiful thing. People are too scared to start all over because they're attached to their belongings. They're attached to the material things. But when you start all over, you don't have to lose everything. But trust me, giving away a lot of stuff will really help you. Trust me. I've seen people do it, and I've done it. Nothing feels better than to strip yourself of all material value and start from your spirit and work your way and allow your spirit to expand, and your spirit will guide you. Your spirit is a gift, and it will align itself to the spirits of others, to the spirits of all of creation. And then you no longer have to be afraid of nothing. And I've seen this time and time and time again. The evidence is there that materialism is making us sick. The evidence is there. The materialism is making us sick, and it's making people suffer. The spiritual, I'm not talking about religious, I'm talking about spiritual. The spirit is what always lives on, which never, ever goes away. The spirit, when you see people transition from the material world to the spiritual world, you see something that is very holy, something that is very sacred. You see, you know. You see that happen, and you know the spiritual side that you cannot necessarily see is by far, not even close, so powerful when it comes to this material world. But we've been conditioned to believe that spirituality isn't a part of us. Spirituality is in a church. Spirituality is over there. Spirituality is to be obtained. Spirituality is us. Is already in us. It's already there. And we've been conditioned to go to the altar and ask forgiveness. And forgiveness is real. Forgiveness is important. But we've been conditioned to go outside of ourselves to ask for forgiveness. But where's the one place to go to experience forgiveness? Within. Because if you ask, everybody can forgive you, but if you don't forgive yourself, that's a big part of it. We've just been conditioned to abuse ourselves, relatives. We've been conditioned in this material world to see other people as less than, and that's very damaging to the spirit, because that goes against spiritual law. And so myself, no matter who it is, I see God. No matter who it is, I see the Great Spirit. No matter what it is, an animal, a tree, I see the Great Spirit. No matter if it's a rainbow, I see the Great Spirit. If it's a river, I see the Great Spirit. If it's a tree, I see the Great Spirit. If it's you, I see the Great Spirit. And we've been conditioned to see everything outside of ourselves as the Great Spirit. But when I see my grandma, who I've actually never seen, I feel the Great Spirit. When I see my brother, I see the Great Spirit. When I see my mom, I see the Great Spirit. When I see a homeless person, I see the Great Spirit. The problem is that they don't see it because they were victimized. All these people on the streets and in jail were the victim of trauma. And what we're doing is we're punishing them for being traumatized in the first place. And so the language has to evolve into the spiritual language, because the spiritual language comes from the spiritual place. And that is going to change. We can change us. We don't have to be afraid of this materialism world anymore. We are already enough. We don't have to be afraid of the unseen world, because that's who we are. The strength that we have is there. The weaknesses, we all have our weaknesses, but we've been conditioned to make ourselves small when we have them, rather than the balance of life and honesty that says, that's one of my weaknesses. And why is it one of my weaknesses? Because I received misinformation and something was done to me. I was abused. I was sexually abused. And then I abused somebody. I was fighting. I did these things. And so coming to terms is spiritual. Living today in this life is a human experience, no doubt about it. But when we bring spirituality into it, it is so much better, because it is in alignment with the reality. Anyways, I'm going to let you go. I'm at my destination. I'm in Sioux City. Can't wait to see my big bro. I'm going to make a real quick stop. And I want to thank you for watching. Please feel free to comment. Please feel free to get a hold of me. My phone number is 605-491-0200. Also on my YouTube page is my contact information. If I do some, I love to talk to people individually. I also do talks to groups. But I also do talking circles as well. So if you want to get a hold of me and are interested in learning more about that, please feel free to reach out. My name is Michael from the Ihangtawan people. Welcome to all YouTube members, Facebook friends. Please feel free to comment along this. And I want to say thank you, and I hope you have a beautiful day. You are the miracle. You are the gift, relatives. Okay, let me see. I just did something. I don't know what I did. All right, I'm going to try and figure this out. I think my cell phone's getting... Okay, there it went. All right, we'll see you all later.